Hey guys, welcome to the stream. It started early. Like it said, it was scheduled for like at 1:45 a.m. for me, and it's 1:17, and they changed the time, so I just still had to go live now. So yeah, we're gonna listen to this presser, and then yeah, I think you guys will be able to hear the audio. You should be able to hear the audio when it starts. But the news I think we're gonna hear, I don't know what news we're gonna hear. Probably, the news I can think of is maybe we'll find out how long Boba is out for. But besides that, I don't really know if anything else. We'll find out if Bamford's back on grass, which I don't think is going to happen. I just don't see Bamford playing for the rest of the season. I don't see him coming back for the rest of the season. Just personally, I don't see it. But yeah. But yeah, so they started early. So basically, I just was gonna check it out. And I checked it out like a minute ago. I'm like, oh shit, it's live. They haven't gone fully live. Like it's coming soon. So yeah, but. Yeah, I don't expect any big news really. Maybe we'll, as I said, maybe we'll find out how long Voba's going to be out for. But injury wise, I think we're good. Like I think the full squad's fine. There's been people on Twitter, been idiots on Twitter trying to make rumors that Tanaka's injured. He's not. I don't think he is. There's just people. I've seen a lot of people say he's not actually injured. There's nothing like he's not injured at all. But there's idiots on Twitter that be like, "Oh, he's injured." Fuck off. Yeah. But yeah, so we'll find out what's going on in the presser soon. I don't know when it starts. I think it's going to start in like a couple of minutes. He's not actually injured. There's nothing like he's not injured at all. But there's idiots on Twitter that be like, "Oh, he's injured." Fuck off. But yeah, we're about to start the presser surely. Oh. Yeah, they normally start 5 to 10 minutes after it starts. It's been live for 4 minutes right now. I mean, there's not much. I'm just gonna chill here with you guys. Yeah. So hopefully we don't get any bad news. Hopefully it's not a thing where we we do get like just the worst news possible. Out of nowhere, someone massive's injured. Which I don't think there is an injury. Like, there's been no news on like I'm not seeing any news of like things on Twitter saying like this person might be injured. So I think we're good on injuries wise. Normally you hear about stuff beforehand, but yeah. How do you guys feel about the game coming up against Sunderland? My preview will be out in on the 16th, I think. Yeah, on the 16th, my preview will be out for that. So like another day. I'm trying to work it out. So yeah, another day, and well, I think another day and a bit. But yeah, I'm excited for Actually, it might be it'll be another 2 days for you guys because it'll be early in the morning on the. Oh, it's hard to work this out. So it's the 15th. So Australian time, it'll be released like 8 p.m. on the 16th. Which for you guys will be like 8 a.m. I think that's like the right time, something like that. On the 16th, so like early morning on the 16th, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, confidence-wise going into this game at the moment, like if I'm gonna say if I'm confident, I think the last time we did play Sunderland, we were the way better team. I mean, we know that we were the way better team last time we did play Sunderland, and we should have beaten them if it wasn't for Meslier making that moment, which he's improved since Hall. He's not made a mistake, and he's looked very good. He's looked good. Oh, we're starting. Here we go. The press is beginning. We're live. Presser. Press confidence.
Hi, Daniel.
Adam.
I think all the talk in the office was how many Valentine's Day cards did you get this morning then from Leeds fans?
But we expect him just to be back after, more of this rehab process. He will need another probably 10 days of individual rehab training, so we won't return back to team training before the Sheffield game. And then hopefully in a couple of weeks we've got him back.
And this is a hamstring thing.
Yes, the little awareness. So obviously the final stages, he needs to be there with full ability to sprint. So that's not the case yet, and for that he needs 10 more days of individual rehab training. So we expect him then to join us in team training after more or less after the Sheffield game.
So Bamford will be back in training after the Sheffield United game.
To pick from. Is this a rare thing for you in your manager's career?
No, and as I said, it's always good to have another option, especially with the face of Joseph not doing it. So you need someone else off the bench.
Many players were available,
Maybe
but
he
especially during
finds some
this
form.
month, January, February, March.
You never know.
After
Bamford
long
could find some
season,
form like
especially
last
in the
season in
Championship,
January. So
quite often you have to deal with a few injuries, and
it's always good to have the options.
touch wood. So apart from this two, Patrick, a bit longer term injury, and with Max, an ongoing problem over the season. To have everyone available is quite good and also important and crucial. So
yeah, it's good to have everyone available. So it looks like no more injuries, which is good.
Of course, you want to have the players available and also in the best possible shape, and when everyone is ready to go,
no more
and
injuries,
fit, then it's
so that's
more or less
good.
the best situation that you can
So
have.
the idiots on Twitter are saying stuff about Tanaka
from Max and
which I thought
from Patrick, we've got a pretty good situation. Yes.
Sunderland away, Daniel. We know what happened at the end of the game, but since then, in the 23 matches he's played, Elan's kept 15 clean sheets, along with the defence in front of him as well. But just recently, he seems to return to some of his best form in terms of shot stopping.
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah.
Did you have to have a hard word with him, or
maybe not his best, but he's been saving. He's been saving some shots that you think could go in. Really,
keep on it and say, look, you're near the Premier League now. You need to up your game.
Yes, like I spoke a few weeks before, Elan is a pretty self-critical young man, and he has also the highest standards. It's not happy when there is a game, like for example at Hull, anyhow, and he's not at his best. And the only answer is after perhaps a bit shaky period, then to work even harder on the training pitch. This is what he did, especially in the recent weeks. So I experienced him each and every day, pretty focused and pretty concentrated, and also pretty settled, and this is also what you have to do if you play in a side who dominates many games, because quite often
I trust Melier, by the way, now.
To be there with the first
going into
save
this game, I do trust Melier.
60 minutes, and you have to be switched on and
I do trust him.
Pretty focused, and this is what he has delivered in the last weeks. Obviously, compliments to his good work. He played a major part also in having many clean sheets so far. Also, like in terms of numbers of clean sheets during this season, it's pretty impressive so far. I'm happy with this, but it's also what we expect from him. So we know what a good goalkeeper he is. He was labelled in the last season's championship team of the season, so labelled as the best goalkeeper in the league, and we expect him also to make the saves and to deliver this consistency in performances like he did also in the last weeks and months. And we want him to keep going, and he wants to keep going, and if you want to be successful in this league, you need a top number one goalkeeper. There's no question about that, and this is what he delivers at the moment, and hopefully he can continue with this impressive form like in the last weeks.
We know a bit about Alex Cairns and we know Carl Darlow, but what role has Ed Wootton, the goalkeeper, taken in this? Would you say that he's had quite a good bearing on Elan, particularly in the last couple of months?
Yes, compliments to Ed. We worked together since quite a long time already, and he's a great character, always good for the group, not just for the goalkeepers. He also interacts pretty well also with the field players, and also gives, for example, hints to our offensive players in terms of their finishing, because he judged it more or less out of the perspective as a goalkeeper. So he has a major influence in many situations, but especially also how he handles the situation with our group of goalkeepers to make sure that they're always on a top level in training, pretty focused, pretty competitive. I've got the feeling each and every goalkeeper wants to show me each and every day on the training pitch that he's the best that we've got, but they still got such a good togetherness and spirit just within the goalkeeper group, and this is completely down to Ed Wootton. He's doing an outstanding job, and also when there is perhaps a bit challenging time and there is some criticism, then also like with his empathy and his man management skills, he's also pretty helpful. He's always open and critical and also honest with the goalkeepers, but also I think they also feel pretty much supported and trusted by him, and he's doing an excellent job, and we're all pretty favored that we have such a quality goalkeeper coach. I'm pretty happy that we brought him in.
So to talk a bit more about Tanaka, there's no coincidence there's a lot of Japanese press at Leeds these days, and elsewhere in the Championship, to be fair. But one thing we noticed the other night was how he was basically telling Ilya Gruev how he wanted him to play on the pitch. He said, do this, don't do that. Did you see those leadership things, or those on-field sort of decision-making qualities in him before he came here, or has he grown into that sort of role?
No, I think overall it's important he's playing in a central role for us, and for that it doesn't matter if you're 18 or 34, if you have lots of experience or not that much experience, if you're perfect, if your English is perfect and fluent, or perhaps you also need use sometimes some Japanese words. You have to lead and have to make sure that everyone is more or less on the same page. And in the football world, we have pretty much one language that everyone understands. And I wouldn't label him as in terms of swinging the word that he's an unbelievable leader in our group, but to lead more or less by example also on the pitch, and good performances also to give a few hints in the central roles is what you would expect. So I expected this also, for example, from a player like Archie Gray. Last season was 18 years old when he was playing in a central role.
Oh, come on,
so
don't talk about Archie.
The central roles are always in the heart of our game, and for that you need also to be there with commands and to help and to lead, and for that. Of course, he's not like the biggest leader in terms of speaking and in terms of words in our group, but he plays in a crucial role, and for that, this is what he has to deliver.
And finally, for me, Sunderland. Look, Isidore's now signed permanently. He's got goals. We know about him. They've made a few attractive signings. But one thing I noticed, Anders, is that their defenders seem to score quite a few goals. Do you see that as a particular threat come Monday night?
Well, it's in general a brave side. They've scored many goals. They can score more or less.
I don't think this will be an easy game against Sunderland. I think it'll be a very close game.
It's always important that many players.
I think we'll get the win, but I think it'll be a close game.
Sometimes to open an opponent with a goal from a defender after set piece, for example, is also important. I spoke about this topic quite often, and we know that Sunderland has the skills, but nevertheless, it's also important. To control their offensive players, to control especially their counterattacks. They are pretty good on the counterattacks, to control their key players, but to be switched on also, like in order to avoid assists or goals from their defensive role, will be also play a crucial part. So I spoke already about pretty complex task for us. We have to be good in many different areas, but nevertheless, we want to bring our strength on the pitch, and then hopefully also to be as successful as possible in this game.
Hi, Daniel. How does a team get the sense of when to go for the kill, like the move for the fourth goal at Watford, and when to retain possession and think, no, it's not on? How difficult is it to get to that point? The problem is obviously also you don't know before you start the attack if the outcome is then really to score a goal. So it's not like you sense, okay, if we right now go into the attack, then it's... definite outcome to score a goal. So it's more a bit about the decision making. Okay, when there is a good situation to go, for example, for a quick counter attack or to speed up the game, and when there is sometimes also the case. Okay, no, it's not the perfect moment for this. It's more like to prepare, and yes, you can label it sometimes instinct or coincidence, but I don't believe too much in coincidence in football. Of course, you need also sometimes a bit luck, but it's more or less you work also on the training pitch on the decision making. It's more or less like that we always start our attacks once we have the perfect structure. And if we realize, okay, it's not the perfect structure, then it's more like, okay, we have to prepare till we are in the structure that we can attack with a quick pass or perhaps even also a quick counter-attack. And especially in terms of counter-attacks, it's also important how, so first of all, where do you win the ball, and also like how the structure of the opponent is. And then to realize this just within a 1 or 2 seconds, more or less, like, okay, come on. This is then also a bit the quality of a player to realize this, but also like the more often you bring him to a situation to explain, okay, in this moment we want to start the attack, I think the easier it is then for him in the end to make, under the pressure situation of the game, also the correct decision. So it will still be the case that you don't always can deliver a perfect decision, but this is something you work on the training pitch, and then also still to keep in mind a bit like the feeling for the whole game. If it's perhaps a pretty busy game in terms of transitioning, and you play already since 5 minutes with pulse to 100, then sometimes also, okay, come on, if we right now overdo it and hold the pace too high, then we also offer some mistakes anyhow. So then to feel sometimes, okay, it's necessary right now also like to calm the game a bit down and to recharge a bit in possession by keeping the ball. This is also something which comes a bit more with experience and that you develop this leadership. But in terms of to realize the right decision-making tactical approach, I'm a big believer in you can educate this also on the training pitch and work on it on the training pitch, or also like in meetings when you show some scenes anyhow, because it's not just coincidence or luck anyhow. I think you need to work on it.
How much have last season's players been influential then for the new players, in that we often see Joe Rodon, when your team has the ball, telling everyone to calm down and trying to get people in the right position? Have they played a big role in educating the new boys?
Overall, yes, because players who work longer with me, obviously, the more often they hear me talking about a topic, or they know my thoughts even a bit better than players who are just with us since a few weeks or a few months. Of course, it's beneficial. I'm just not sure if the example with Joe Rodon is perfect, because he always calms the game down. He's a defender. He always wants to take no risk, and he wants to make sure that we are not offering mistakes, and he has to defend the next counter-attack. He's sometimes even reluctant to go for a corner kick up into the opponent's box anyhow, because he's thinking, okay, I have also to sprint back 80 yards. So I wouldn't label this as a perfect example, although I love Joe Rodon that much. But if it's just about the defenders, they would never start a quick attack. They would always calm the game down, and the other way around for offensive players. So obviously we're working as a team on it, that we are always there with a perfect decision making in the sense and the advantage for the whole team. And for that also Joe works with me quite long. So sometimes he has also a good feeling when he senses also, okay, I want also to slow the game down sometimes, but if it's just about him, I think we would do it much too often.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi.
Talking about centre-backs, how pleased are you with how Ethan has done in the last period at centre-back, and how pleased are you that you might be able to play him in midfield with soon with Pascal back as well?
Yes, very pleased in both aspects. Obviously, he's number 2. I labelled him several times.
He's been great at centre back. He's been fine. He's been good.
That he's our captain, that he's more or less was last season each every second more or less on the pitch, and right now we missed him for such a long time. We have to be careful whenever I can give him a few minutes of a break, and when the game, for example, is won. Then I will also try to do this, because he was out with a serious injury for such a long time. But
and it's good to have a player like Ampadu that can play at centre back while Struck isn't fully fit. To start games, which is a very
so
good thing.
Important. Obviously, yet to help a lot on the centre back position in the last weeks, and I think he did an outstanding job with Joe Rodon. So there's no doubt about that. They've proved this also last season. There's no coincidence that we are there with many clean sheets at the moment. But on the other hand, I'm also happy to have Pascal back. Obviously, he was struggling with a few injuries.
It's good to have Sharp back for
back-to-back injuries, also like over the Christmas period, and then in January he was out for a few weeks. I was happy that I could give him a little more the first experience over 90 minutes in the cup game against Millwall, but it was then also clear that I wouldn't send him straight away just 3 days later into the next game after he was out that long, but to have him also back and also right now also with experience back, match experience back, is also important. So for that, it's good that we don't have to rush him too quick into the team and risk another long-term injury of Pascal, because we don't have to speak about when he's in his full rhythm and full confidence. Anyhow, then he also will always play and play a key role for us. But it's a good situation that due to the strength of Ethan in the central defensive role, and due to the strength of our central midfielders as well, that we can afford right now also to not overrush Pascal back into the starting lineup.
We don't want to overrush him back into the team,
That's quite priceless. But
it's fine, as I said with Ampadu.
Also Pascal's defensive as soon as he's back to full fitness.
Especially with how good
I'm quite happy that
Ampadu's doing.
not to rush it too much.
Thank you. And as a general point, obviously you yourself as a manager, you've been in this position going for a promotion from the Championship multiple times in your career. How difficult is it to plan long-term ahead, whether that's squad development, tactics, recruitment, whatever? How hard is it to plan ahead when you don't 100% know concretely which division you're going to be in next season?
Yes, it's a bit complicated, of course, because also the financial resources differ then a little bit. If, for example, if you extend a contract of a very expensive player who is normally too expensive for the Championship, sometimes you have to wait a little bit, or the other way around. If you really can afford to be there with a Premier League signing anyhow, you have to wait till then
it's like
more or
that,
less
like
also the money
you gotta
in the
wait,
Premier League is guaranteed. So for that you have to be a bit more careful in terms of planning.
I mean, I don't
because
like
we want
these
to
whole
plan also sustainable and
what's it called?
Can't do crazy things and
hypothetical
risk
questions you could
the
say.
mid and long-term future of the club.
I
So
just
at
want
least,
to,
as long
talk
as I'm
about the
in
game
charge
coming
in
ahead
this
more.
management role, I won't,
and
won't
talk
do
about
this. For that, it's always a bit
would it
complicated,
work
yes.
if
But
we go up or if we don't go
I think
up,
it's
like
for each and every team the same situation. So
why?
quite often you don't know before May
I don't-
in which league you will play.
Understand
Sometimes
why
it's
we have
really
to do this
difficult.
stuff.
Where, for example, once you play a playoff final, because then you can just start the planning, more or less in June or whatever, the squad planning. Sometimes when you're cruising easily,
just,
several points ahead. We had this also with Burnley a couple of years ago when they were already more or less promoted after 38 game days. It's a bit easier, but normally in this crazy league you can plan it, can fulfill your concrete plannings just
get us
pretty
promoted.
late, or at least to
Just
finalize
get us
it.
promoted.
Nevertheless, I think it's important that you also prepare already a few options, and in order to be there with decisions as quick as possible, because the quicker you are there with your decisions in key positions, the better it is also for the planning. But sometimes you can't choose, and for that it's also important not to get too carried away and concentrate on the most important thing. And the most important thing is always to be successful in each and every game right now in order
Take every game at a time, one at a time.
That you can really do the best possible planning.
The low possession on Tuesday night was one of the few issues you raised. There's something you would have liked more control over. So what has your analysis shown you from that game, and what have you told the players about maybe avoiding that situation in future?
Yes, we spoke a while ago about decision making. So sometimes, of course, when you're sitting a bit deeper and Watford is risking more in place with a high row, you have a bit the tendency that you perhaps choose the transition moment a bit too often, and give then sometimes the ball a bit too early away. But on the other hand, if you're so strong, like in the last game, like we were, also in executing our counterattacks, of course you want to go for it. And this is also why, for me, of course we like to dominate possession, but it's not like it's always the best choice to be always there with 80% possession. So sometimes when you sense it, okay, right now the opponent offers a bit more, sometimes you also have to accept that you can also dominate the game against the ball and are quicker in your decision making and also in your attacks, instead of
good counter-attacks,
you
good
always
pressing,
have to open a deep sitting bus more or less, and you have to prepare the situation a bit more. So I'm never just happy when we are there with 80% possession, but sometimes I think the decision making was then not great, or sometimes also a bit untidy in the passing. But it was also testament to Watford in terms of their physicality and individual
I thought Watford were good,
robustness and pace with players like Sissoko and Kayembe. They are strong in the duels, and it's really in this terms nearly like Premier League level in terms of their physicality. Then you also have to accept that you can't dominate such a game with 80% possession. You also have to adapt to the realities. This will also be the case once we hopefully one day are allowed to play on the top level against the top team. So
next
right now
season,
during this season, when
we'll
we play against the top side like Sheffield, like Burnley, like Sunderland, you also have to accept sometimes their quality and that they also have their periods in the game. And it's just important that during these periods you're also good in your structure and you also can control the game, although you play against the ball, and dominate the game even without possession. Yes, for that, I think in this terms it was definitely a good game. And at Watford, although sometimes our decision making could be.
I think Sunderland's going to be a tough game,
especially also like in the second half to go a bit more.
They're going to have their moments where we're going to be under pressure.
Take their belief a bit more away and to exhaust the opponent a bit more, and to have also a bit more time to recharge then while you keep the ball instead of you always attack with pulse 200, because you need also the energy then also against the ball, and for that it could have been better, but nevertheless I was happy with the last game.
Given they finished 16th last season and they brought in a manager who hadn't managed here before, are you quite surprised by how Sunderland have done and how they've stuck around in the top four all season?
No, because Regis is a pretty experienced manager and has proven this also during his career already. And Sunderland, we know about the potential of the club, and I was fully aware also, like before the season started, they have really good individual players. So lots of youth and energy and young talents, but also experienced players on this level who could lead the group and. This is what they do. They play with enthusiasm, with fire, and also their individual signings, especially in the offense, are also shining. And the young players are with confidence and rhythm. They're developing more or less from week to week, and it's a pretty good side. One of the best sides in this league, and we are pretty aware that we have to be good, especially also to control their offensive players, to control their strengths in terms of counterattacks, and it's also not that easy to open them and to score goals against them. I think we were pretty close in our last game against them, and should have won this game because we dominated this game also in many periods. But we have to be at our best.
They look very good outside. Sunderland looked their best.
Same level
the
of
first 10
performance
minutes
again,
of that game where they were all over us. They were the way better team for like the first 10 minutes. They were legit all over us, and we couldn't do a thing about it.
Also with the results.
That's when they scored their first goal. So
like all the games against the top teams, tight game, and you have to be good in details. This will be decisive.
And that's the end of the press conference. So that's the end. Is there anything to talk about? Like any important things? Of course, Fark talked about the injury problems. We'll start with that. Of course, he did talk about the injury problems. We expect Voba back after the international break in March. So Voba won't be back for a while. Bamford will need another 10 days of individual rehab and should rejoin the squad in team training after the Sheffield United game, which is, as I say, it's only positive having more options off the bench, especially at the striker position where Piro's the only one that's doing it. And I said this, who knows, Bamford maybe can find that bit of form that he had last season going into the end of the season and be part of the, that pushes us over the line. Gets those, even it could only be 2, 3, 4 goals that just push us over the line to get us back to the Premier League. It only takes him having 1 or 2 moments that gets us promoted, which, it's something that can happen. And it's good having, as I said, another option up front with how poor, in my opinion, Joseph's been. But yeah, and having another option's good. But yeah, not much else to talk about. Of course, he talked about the Sunderland game, which I will do a preview in tomorrow, or it might be the next day, whatever that is. It will be out. But yeah, it'll be out probably 2 days before the game, something like that. So that'll be out then.